Welcome back to the cryptowrld channel, everyone. My name is Josh, and right now, Bitcoin has been continuing the short-term bullish relief towards this area of liquidity, but just before hitting that area, we started to run into this major area of resistance, causing the price to once again struggle in the short term, while the price of Ethereum has continued that short-term breakout towards also running into major resistance. So in just a moment, I'll be giving you an exact update on my trading strategy for Ethereum, alongside the price of Solana, now currently retesting this critical area of resistance. So I'll be talking about all of that and more later in the video, so definitely watch to the end. First of all, starting off on the weekly Bitcoin price chart, and the super trend indicator is still sitting in the green, indicating a larger bull market. And on this weekly Bitcoin chart, of course, we still have a possible bearish divergence forming right now, but not currently confirmed. And on the 3-day Bitcoin price chart, just in the shorter term, we're still losing bullish momentum, moving slightly towards a bearish crossover. But because we've not yet confirmed any new bearish crossover, at least for now, we're still looking more bullish than bearish, especially in terms of the larger bull market. Once again, we're still in a bull market. It's just in the shorter term, we're losing a bit of bullish momentum right now, and that has been the case over the last 1 to 2 weeks or so. And if we're taking a look at this 3-day Bitcoin price chart, technically speaking, despite the current short-term cool-off losing some bullish momentum, at least for now, this cup and handle pattern is technically still active, because this would only invalidate if we see a confirmed break with candle closes back below this line right here, which is sitting at around 110,000. And so obviously not a lot has changed over the last 1 day on these larger time frames, and something similar can be said about the daily Bitcoin price chart, because at least for now, the price is still basically in a bit of a sideways consolidation, just hanging right underneath this major area of resistance, which is still sitting at basically the low 120k area, so in between roughly 120,000 to 123,000. Around there on the price chart, we have a lot of resistance, which, in case you're new to all of this, means expect the price to struggle to actually break through that area on the price chart. And while the price of Bitcoin is just bouncing around sideways, obviously we're continuing to see a pullback in the daily Bitcoin RSI, and at some point in the future, maybe in a week or two from now, this can ultimately turn out to be bullish, as we have more room towards the upside in the RSI, giving us more room towards the upside to potentially continue the larger bullish trends, the larger bull market. But while this is happening in the present, while it's happening once again, this is a sign of weakness, telling us we should not really be expecting a lot of bullish momentum, as we're seeing a cool off in the market right now, cooling off after previously a lot of bullish price action, kind of like what we saw around here. Obviously, we saw a lot of bullish price action leading up towards really the end of May, and then during the last part of May and entering into June, we saw a major cool off in the price and the RSI, resetting things, getting us ready for that next major bullish move into new all-time highs. And so at least for Bitcoin, we're at a similar stage in the market right now compared to what we saw back here, basically just cooling off a little bit, and then maybe in the next few weeks or so, we could ultimately see a continuation of the larger bull market as a likely scenario. And if we're taking a look at the shorter term on the 4-hour time frame, obviously ever since we broke out back above this area just a couple of days ago, which, by the way, in case you're new to the channel, this area is in between around 116,000 to 117,000. The moment we broke out back above 117,000, obviously from that point onwards, I've been saying we're most likely now going to see a little bit more of a short-term bullish relief towards around 120,000, and then expect a lot of resistance once again at close to 120,000 based on this area right here. And obviously that's pretty much exactly played out as I've been saying, and that was obviously thanks to the Bitcoin liquidation heat map over the last half a week or so, has been showing a lot of liquidity building at around pretty much close to 120,000 and slightly above 120,000. And technically that is still there. We've not yet taken out that area of liquidity. But as I've also been saying over the last few days, even though it's likely the price will be drawn towards 120,000, obviously just before we could hit that area of liquidity, we also have this area of resistance starting at close to 120,000, in between around 120 to 121,000. And so obviously, at least in the short term, we're seeing a clear rejection again from around this area of resistance, which means continue to expect the price to struggle a little bit in the short term and lack of momentum, as we're still in a cool-off phase in the market, which could potentially last for another 1 to 2 weeks as a likely scenario. So just keep that in mind. It's basically playing out as what I've been saying already over the last 1 to 2 weeks. And so once again, at least for the next few days, possibly the next 1 or 2 weeks, that sort of time frame, continue to expect a little bit more choppy sideways price action bouncing around in this relatively sideways price range between support and resistance. But once again, overall, we're simply just cooling off in a larger bull market, potentially getting ready for that next major bullish move, maybe in another couple of weeks from now as a likely scenario once again. And of course, this is the time in the market where you need to be set up ready to go to take advantage of the next trading opportunity. This is basically the calm before the storm before we get ready for that next major move in the market. And of course, in order to actually trade any of these moves, you have to be set up ready to go on a crypto exchange. And personally, I'm taking a lot of my crypto trades over on BTNX. So I'll make sure to leave a link to BTNX below this video in the description and in the pinned comment. And if you use that link, it'll take you to this page right here where you can claim some massive trading and deposit bonuses. For example, up to $40,000 in trading bonuses. And also, if you deposit just $1,000, you get a $200 bonus into your BTNX account. But these massive bonuses here are only available using that first link below this video to actually make your BTNX account. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway or preparing to take the next trading opportunity, you might as well get set up ready to go using that first link below this video to take advantage of these major bonuses here. And in case you're wondering, BTNX is a no KYC exchange, which means you can access it from basically any country in the world without needing any KYC. But as always, check your local regulations when it comes to trading crypto. And for whatever reason, if you don't want BTNX as an exchange, there's also 2bit as another option out there, another exchange that I also trade on. So I'll also make sure to leave a link to 2bit below this video. And that link, by the way, will take you to this page because right now there's a $3 million trading competition happening right now over on 2bit. So if you're trading crypto anyway, you might as well check it out because obviously there's major prizes to potentially be won here if we can trade well. And if you actually click that link below this video to 2bit, the second link below this video, once again, it'll take you to this page where you can actually join my trading team, the cryptoworld team, in this trading competition. And once again, if we place well, we could potentially win some major prizes here. So if you're going to be trading crypto anyway, it's free to join. Obviously, you might as well check it out. Second link below this video. And in case you're wondering, 2bit is also a no KYC exchange. But with that being said, taking a look at the Bitcoin dominance chart here on the 3-day time frame, at least for now, obviously we're still technically playing out the bearish divergence. We've not yet actually confirmed any invalidation signal to properly invalidate the bearish divergence on the 3-day Bitcoin dominance chart. And so this ultimately is, of course, more bearish than bullish for the Bitcoin dominance. Yes, we could see little bounces here and there in the shorter term, but ultimately we're still pointing more in the bearish direction when we're looking at the larger price structure here, which is actually good news for the altcoin market. In case you're new to all of this, when the Bitcoin dominance sees a dump like this, that's effectively what an altcoin season is. A lot of the altcoins, especially the major altcoins, are outperforming whatever Bitcoin is doing. And so obviously not a lot has changed on the 3-day Bitcoin dominance chart over the last 1 day. And if we're taking a look at Ethereum on the 3-day time frame, what Ethereum is right now doing is testing this significant area of resistance, which for well over a year now has already been proving itself as significant resistance, as we can clearly see. And this area, in case you're new to the channel, is in between roughly 3.9K to 4.1K. And so we have to understand there is a real risk of a potential rejection from this resistance, like what we've seen many times for well over a year. Once again, starting from near the beginning of 2024, we've seen many significant rejections from this area. So of course, once again, there is a risk that we need to be aware of, that it is possible we could see another significant rejection from this resistance. And so due to that reason, I have made a slight change to my trade over the last 1 day, which I'll talk about in just a moment. But of course, once we eventually at some point see a confirmed breakout above this area, with candle closes confirming ideally above 4.1K and obviously holding above that area, then in that situation, once we actually see a confirmed breakout, that would be extremely bullish for the price of Ethereum, and honestly would likely see a run towards all-time highs, towards around $5,000 plus, once we first confirm a breakout above this resistance. But for now, considering we've not yet confirmed the breakout above this area, once again, at least for now, there is still that risk of another possible rejection here. And if we're taking a look at the daily Ethereum price chart, looking at some Fibonacci levels, once again, we're approaching some significant resistance at closer towards 4,000. And in terms of support, in case we see some sort of major rejection here, I'd expect a lot of support at roughly 3.5K and also in between 3.2K to 3.3K. And it is worth pointing out a possible bearish divergence forming right now on the daily time frame and slightly smaller time frames like the 12-hour chart, for example, or the 8-hour chart, because obviously, at least for now, we have just confirmed a new higher high in the price in the candle closes on this chart right here. And at least for now, we are currently forming lower highs in the daily Ethereum RSI. So once again, that's a possible bearish divergence forming right now, but not yet confirmed. But if we ultimately confirm a bearish divergence maybe over the next few days, at the same time as running into very significant resistance, once again, it is is possible this could cause a little bit of a pullback, a rejection from this area in the coming days or weeks. And so if we're zooming into the shorter term, taking a look at the 2-hour time frame, obviously over the last couple of days, this short-term breakout has already played out very nicely, and we got very close to the technical price target. Obviously right around here, I talked about a bullish price target at around 39.70, and from that breakout right here at around 37.60, obviously to the highest point, at least so far, we moved almost 5% towards the upside, around 4.8 to 4.9%. And from the breakout to the price target, that was potentially around a 5.6% move towards the upside. So obviously we made it almost all the way towards the price target, but obviously exactly like what I explained in detail over the last couple of days with this short-term breakout trade right here, this long position, I said it would make more sense to potentially take a little bit more profits off the table to start reducing the size of the trade before hitting the price target, especially once we get closer towards around 3.9k, where we're starting to run into this very significant area of resistance. It would make sense to at least take some profits off the table and slightly reduce the size of the trade, so that if we actually reject here, at least we've taken some profits. And of course, ultimately, if we break through here, still we have some of the trade open in case we just break out towards the upside. We're still long on Ethereum. We've just taken some profits off the table. And so obviously this is exactly what I've already been talking about over the last couple of days. And as always, I put my money where my mouth is, follow my own analysis with my own money, and showing very transparently here on the channel, looking at my exact Ethereum long position, I've done exactly that. So right now I'm still long on the price of ETH because technically speaking, this breakout is still technically active, but I have slightly reduced the size of the trade over the last one day, just securing some profits out of this trade, but still overall remaining long with a stop loss sitting in profits. And so obviously, if you watched my last video just yesterday, you'll know that this started out to be roughly a $300,000 Ethereum long position, whereas right now it's closer towards a $250,000 Ethereum long position, just underneath a 250k long position. As you can see right here, currently close to $6,000 in unrealized profits and over $1,000 in realized profits, secured profits. And currently where my stop loss is sitting at, even in the worst case scenario, that would also secure another almost $2,000 profit, even in the worst case scenario, on top of the already realized profit. And so utilizing this trading strategy, which I've been sharing very transparently over the last few days since before I actually took the trade, obviously this is pretty much the best risk to reward ratio. I'm still leaving my upside open so that if we just continue pumping, I'm still long on the price of ETH, but I have secured some profits with a stop loss sitting in profits, so that even in the worst case scenario, I'm still actually making profits from this trade and not losing any money. And so as always, nothing that I say is personal financial advice, but hopefully if you followed along with a similar trading strategy, you should be making some decent profits right now very easily in this crypto market, just simply by following my videos, which I'm posting completely for free here on YouTube. And so if you haven't already, definitely make sure you subscribe to this channel with notifications turned on so that you don't miss out on any of these important update videos where I'm sharing these trading strategies very transparently here. And of course, if you're enjoying these videos, hit the like button below this video. And in case you're wondering, I'm taking this trade right here over on BTNex. So once again, I'll also make sure to leave a link to the BTNex exchange below this video, the first link below this video. And by using that link, you can claim those massive bonuses that are only available using that link on this exchange right here that I'm actually trading on. But with that being said, taking a look at Solana on the 2-day time frame, and right now Solana is retesting this significant area of resistance sitting in between roughly 190 to 200. And so obviously, as I've been saying many times here on the channel, expect the price to struggle a lot in this area. And already just over the last one day here in the short term, we are indeed struggling in this exact price range. But if the price can ultimately at some stage confirm a breakout here with candle closes above 200 and actually holding above that area, in that situation, we could likely see a continued bullish move towards around $230 as the next major Fibonacci level towards the upside. But remember, at least for now, we're still struggling around 190 to 200. And in terms of short-term support, I would expect a lot of support at closer towards $180 and also at around 167. And overall, the larger trend is technically still bullish. We're still playing out higher lows and higher highs. It's just in the shorter term, we're struggling around significant resistance. And with Bitcoin seeing a bit of a cool off and some other altcoins obviously seeing a cool off, Solana is playing out something similar, just cooling off a little bit in the short term, but still within a larger bullish trend. And if we're taking a look at the immediate short term here on the 1 hour time frame, obviously obviously over the last 1 day or so, we did see just a little bit of a short-term breakout here for this inverse head and shoulders pattern. Obviously, like I said in my last video, it's not really a perfect textbook inverse head and shoulders pattern, but obviously if you took some sort of trade here, let's just say if you open a long position roughly around here and utilized the same risk management strategy, which I always talk about, basically moving a stop loss into profits and taking a little bit of profits here and there off the table before hitting the price target, you could have still turned this into a profitable trade. But like I said in my last video before this breakout here, I said be aware that we still have this major area of resistance just above the price in between roughly 190 to 200. So like I said yesterday, even though we may end up seeing a little bit of a breakout, expect the price to struggle a lot right around here. And obviously that has exactly played out, like I said in my last video before it played out. And of course, if we're looking at the 1 hour Solana RSI, we pretty much perfectly entered slightly into overbought territories on the 1 hour time frame before starting to cool off. So that's another signal in the short term telling us we're getting a little bit overheated. We're due to see a slight little cool off. And of course, at the same time as running into significant resistance, the price is obviously going to struggle likely around that area. And so overall, what I expect now for the price of Solana is honestly maybe a bit of a sideways consolidation of some sort, not overly bullish or overly bearish, but still within a larger bullish trend, just in the shorter term taking a bit of a break, at least for now, still struggling around major resistance. And if we're taking a look at the price of XRP on the weekly time frame, it's looking likely that XRP could be coming in for another retest of this significant level of support again, which is sitting at around $3 per XRP. So keep in mind that is a likely target in the immediate short term. And also we're technically seeing one confirmation signal now to help to confirm this new bearish divergence on the weekly XRP chart, with higher highs already confirmed in the price in the candle closes. And once again, one confirmation signal now confirmed to confirm this lower high in the weekly XRP RSI. And so especially if we see another confirmation signal with this weekly candle close that we're currently forming, if that confirms in the red at the end of this week, then obviously once again there'll be two confirmation signals further confirming the lower high in the RSI, which would further confirm the bearish divergence. And honestly, if we see that second confirmation signal at the end of this week, then it is quite likely we could see a larger cool off, a larger either pullback or sideways consolidation, basically cooling off after all of this bullish price action. And if we're taking a look at the daily time frame when it comes to support and resistance to watch out for, obviously just in the shorter term, we've rejected from the exact area that I've been warning about over the last half a week, ever since we broke back below this area, which was sitting at around $3.40, but really in between $3.30 to $3.40. Ever since we broke back below that area, I've been saying expect a lot of resistance in between $3.30 to $3.40, and also expect a lot of support in between $2.90 to $3. So obviously right now the price is still respecting these areas on the price chart, which is perfectly rejected from the exact resistance I've been warning about after previously perfectly bouncing from the exact support I've been talking about. And so obviously there's not much else to add here for the price of XRP. We're still playing out the exact same levels I've been talking about, so continue to expect the price to most likely bounce around between this support and this resistance. And of course, if we ultimately at some stage break out back above 340, I would expect more resistance at closer towards 360. And if the price were to actually break below $2.90, breaking below towards the downside here out of this sideways price range, in that situation, we could potentially dump back down towards around $2.60 if we first confirm a break below $2.90 to $3. But overall, in the somewhat shorter term for the next few days, like I've already been saying over the last few days, it's quite likely we could play out a bit of choppy sideways price action between this support and this resistance. And if we're taking a look at the price of Chainlink on the daily time frame, obviously Chainlink is still holding above this critical level on the price chart, but like I've already been saying over the last half a week, don't expect significant bullish momentum in the short term. And in case you're new to the channel, this area of support is sitting in between around $17.50 to $18, and previously that was resistance, and obviously just half a week ago or so we did confirm that as new support. So this is definitely a critical area to pay attention to as support, once again in between $17.50 to $18, because if we actually see candle closes to the downside below $17.50, in that situation it's possible we could see a continued dump down towards around 1550 if we first confirm a break below 1750. But it is worth mentioning that even if we were to actually play out that bearish move down towards 1550, in that situation, technically we can still remain within a much larger bullish trend, forming higher lows and higher highs. Obviously, we can see decent pullbacks along the way during a larger bullish trend. But once again, at least for now, the immediate support to focus on is in between $17.50 to $18. And in terms of resistance, we have a lot of resistance starting at close to $20 and really in between $20 to $21. Right around there, we have strong resistance. And if we were ultimately to break out above around $21, if we actually break out above that area and hold above that area, in that situation, expect to move up towards around $24 as the next shorter term price target. But once again, at least for now, we're still struggling a lot closer towards $20 to $21. And honestly, in the immediate short term, like I've already been saying over the last few days, it's very likely we'll just bounce around a little bit in this somewhat sideways price range here, in between roughly $17.50 to $20, give or take. And once again, only if we break one of those levels right there, then that would activate the next price target to the upside or towards the downside. Obviously, we could trade, for example, the move in between $17.50 to $15.50 with a short position, or trade the move in between $21 to $24 with a long position. We just have to wait for one of the breaks of one of those levels as the entry signal to potentially open a trade, not financial advice. And once again, if you want to take any of these trades in the price of any crypto, check out the links below this video to those exchanges if you want to claim those massive bonuses that are only available using those links. And if you want to actually know how you can trade crypto no matter what the price is doing, then make sure to watch these videos popping up right here on your screen. The video in the top left shows you how you can profit from bullish or bearish price action using long positions or short positions, and the video in the bottom left shows you how you can easily profit during choppy sideways price action. But anyway, that is everything that I have to say for today. I really hope you enjoyed, and I'll see you all in the next video.